Hey, it's Joe Fear over at GrabEasyWebinar.com, and in this video we're going to talk about the 9 different types of webinars that you can run with using EasyWebinar. So this EasyWebinar, the system, it allows you to do so much more than just a single live webinar or just automated webinars. It allows you to do literally 9 different types of webinars and setups using all of these factors. So let's dig into the different types that we have right now, and you can kind of get some ideas of what you can do. So these, I'm just going to list them really quick, really fast, and then we're going to get into the details of each one, what it means, and then some examples of how you can use them. So it's pretty obvious, but the typical webinar is a live one-time event, so we can do that. You can then do some recurring weekly live webinars, and I'm going to go quickly on this list because we'll dive into the rest of them later. You could do automated one-timers. So that's, just kind of a, one-time automated thing. And then you could do automated recurring webinars. You can also do right on time events. You could do any kind of like a block day scenario. So you can actually like say this day and not that day, and then stream them automated that in that kind of fashion. You could do it straight to a replay page. You could also show the next available session, depending on whenever someone opts in or registers for that webinar. You can also show multiple sessions in the drop-down menu on that registration page. So those are the 9 different types, and you might not know what they totally mean yet, but let's dig into that right now. So the one-time live, these are pretty standard. So this is just like your typical Zoom. You'll see people use Zoom. You'll see people use GoToWebinar, or even Google Hangouts as kind of like a rudimentary type of way to present live. So, this is just kind of your typical way. Now, what's cool with EasyWebinar is that they actually have their own live engine. And what that means is it has this interface that's kind of similar to Zoom, if you ever use that, or even GoToWebinar, but it's much nicer looking than both of those. But they have their own engine that actually gives you straight up HD sound and video with no latency. So that's no lagging, depending on however many people are actually on there watching. So it's really cool. You can actually stream it using their engine. So you just give people a link, just like you would on Zoom or GoToWebinar or anything like that, to view it. So it's really cool. You can have them register for it, or you can just have them view it using that link that you can post anywhere. Or you can stream your live webinar straight to YouTube and use their system and then pass around the link that way if you wish. So it's really cool. Both of these styles here, you can have up to 1,000 attendees on your live events. So, there's no extra fees or anything for the different amount of attendees you can have. Whereas GoToWebinar, for example, they'll charge you through the nose so much money to get 1,000 attendees on there. So that's just an example of how EasyWebinar is so much better. Now, also with these live events, you can have presenters, so you can actually bring different attendees on as presenters. You can make offers in real time just with a single click. You can offer PDFs or different downloads actually within the live engine kind of format there, just with the click a button. You can answer questions. You can take questions live and then actually see chat and a whole bunch of different things. We're not going to get into that now, but you kind of get an understanding. That's what one-time live webinars do. Now, the next one is a recurring live webinar. So this is just, if you can think about like something that's on a consistent schedule, a weekly live webinar style, but, you can actually automate these if you wish. But in this scenario, we're talking about something that's actually live. So let's say every Tuesday you want to do a Q&A call with your subscribers, or maybe it's a company meeting like we have here, or a mastermind with a group of people. This is a way where you can kind of make these recurring events and then have people register once, and then they'll get these recurring, events to attend. So that's what's really cool. You don't have to constantly have them register. And it's also cool because the dynamic pages, so the registration page is dynamically going to show what that next session is. So you don't have to kind of update the time and the meeting date every single time. So it's really cool. You can just use that registration page once for all the sessions in the future. Now, the next one is an automated one time. So this isn't meaning like an automated all the time. So this is a single automation webinar that gives that kind of real-time feel, that look, everything like that. And it's actually catered to a specific time zone. So if you can imagine someone who is in San Diego, for instance, has a target market in people in the UK, you want to obviously cater to the people who are in the UK in their time zone. So you want to make sure that that's the most convenient for them so you can get the best turnout. So what you want to do is basically pre-record this thing and then set it for a specific time zone, i.e. the UK out there, so it plays at maybe it's 5 o'clock p.m. or 7 o'clock p.m. in the UK time zone. And I'm in San Diego, but it looks real to them and it's automated, so it kind of frees up time on our end. So you can record it when you want and stream it later. And like I was saying, it kind of gives you a better customer experience. It allows them to actually see it in the time zone, so you're going to get more people on there. All right, so we now have automated recurring. So this is cool, and this is kind of the standard. You see this used a lot. So this is the best for any worldwide audiences. This is when you have something that's streaming all the time at specific times. It could be at a local time zone or on specific days. You can set whichever you want, and it's really simple to set up. So like I was saying, it's easy to set up, but it's also convenient for the people because they now have the option they have a variety of options, honestly. It's not just a one-time thing. It's automated and it's recurring, and it's specific to their time zones and the days that they want to record. So what's beautiful with these, and this is what we use mainly when we're promoting our products, is that we will record the best possible version of our webinar, the one that might be get the best responses. We'll do that live. So we can actually use the live engine inside of EasyWebinar. And then once we figure out that that's a really good webinar, that people resonate, people purchase, they're asking questions, all that stuff, then we'll turn that into an automated recurring webinar like this style here. So it's really cool as you start as a live, and then with EasyWebinar, it's literally a flip of a switch, one click, and then it turns into this automated recurring. And then you can set, whatever times you want. So the next one is right on time, or sometimes this is called just-in-time webinars. And what you can do is basically have a webinar ready for people that's automated, that is available every 15 minutes. So literally if someone opts in at 2:05, for instance, you have that next webinar set and ready to play at 2:15. So it's great for these kind of recurring things that you do in your business, like strategy calls. It could be like an intro session to clients or maybe to prospects in your list, or it could even be used for qualifying people out. My wife actually has a staffing business, and she's been doing this for years now, where she literally has a webinar always available, and it's kind of a way to filter out people before she actually speaks to them in their hiring process. So it's a very unique way of using webinars, but she uses these kind of right on time or just in time webinars. So every 15 minutes, someone opts in or registers, they have to watch that webinar. And if they don't, then, they're not going to get talked to. They're not going to get hired. So it's really cool. It's a great way to qualify people, strategize people. And this is the example I was telling you, pretty much at any time, 15 minutes later, a webinar is starting. And usually you will get more opt-ins, better conversions on your registration page, because you have this literally a webinar starting very soon. So, when someone opts in for it, they're not going to just go run away and forget about the webinar. They're literally going to be like, okay, cool. I got 10 minutes or I got 5 minutes to watch this webinar or to wait. They'll do something on Facebook maybe for that 5 minutes, and then they'll hop on the webinar. So the more prone to actually watch the thing. And then obviously it's going to be a lot more convenient for people. That's where you're going to get better opt-in rates. So that's what's really cool with these just-in-time webinars here. So the block day scenario and streamed automated styles, that's kind of a long name, but it's very simple. Basically, it just means that you have an automated webinar that happens on very specific days. So you actually block out certain days. So maybe someone opts in on a Monday, but you only run your webinars on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So then they would wait a day. And what's really cool is that this is great for selling products, something that looks a little bit more exclusive, something that's not always readily available. And maybe it's a higher priced product, for instance. But what's cool is that if someone opts in on, maybe a day that's not streaming the webinar, there's usually a gap there that you can then send them some kind of credibility boosting emails, or maybe it's things like your podcast episodes, or maybe a free PDF they can get to learn you a little more about you, what you do, and the value you're going to bring. Or maybe you give them a checklist, like a pre-webinar checklist that they can read and digest and kind of warm up to the idea of what you'll be talking about. So that's what this block date scenario allows you to do, is kind of make it almost more real looking again, because it'll look like you're just doing webinars all the time, but only a handful of times rather than, every 15 minutes, for instance. So that's a way to kind of frame your webinar a little differently. And like I was saying, it feels a little bit more real time with that waiting. So it's pretty nice that way. So straight to replay page. Now this is good if you want to just send someone straight to a webinar with no waiting time. And that's great if you know that you have a warmer audience, you have a webinar that converts, and you just want to send them straight to it. This is the way to do it. And basically right after they opt in or they register, they'll have that webinar ready for them, that replay on the confirmation page immediately. So you can actually see some pretty quick sales conversions if you have a webinar that does really well. But also on that registration page, it can give people the option to watch a future webinar. So they can actually select to watch a future webinar if they don't want to watch that one there. Obviously, that could be the same webinar, or it could be a different webinar for that future webinar. So it gives them a couple options. And, it's pretty cool because some people just don't like to wait. They just want to watch it right away. And the next available session. So this basically means that whenever they register, it will only show that next available session that's coming up. So it could be in 15 minutes. It could be, in a week. So whatever it is, that is the only thing that shows on that registration page. So there's no different options. There's no drop-down menus to have them select anything. It literally is just, okay, the next presenting time, the next webinar presentation starts on X date. So that's what this will do for you. And they have seen, the EasyWebinar guys, they've told us they've seen better conversions from pages like this because there's just less options for people to choose. They don't have to think about a good time for them. They just opt in. And obviously, if they miss the webinar, you can send them a replay or maybe do another webinar, whatever it might be. Better conversions are usually seen with this type of style here. Now, the show multiple sessions option. So this is the one where you could stream at multiple times per day. A lot of people used to use this and still do. This is where, you might see, okay, the webinar streams, in the morning, the midday, and then also in the evening. So it gives people kind of the option of selecting a time that fits their time schedule. So they have the option to do this. And some good times that the EasyWebinar guys have found from just their tests and seeing what converts best are webinars that start at 11 a.m., 3 p.m., or 7 p.m. And obviously, those are all dynamic to the viewers who register. So that means that, someone in the UK can watch them whenever it's good at 11, 3, or 7. Same as the people in San Diego, for instance, 11, 3, and 7 in their own time zone. So it's really cool. No one's going to miss out on the webinars in that fashion. So that's about it. Those are the 9 styles. There's a lot to work with. And like I was saying before, things like Webinar Jam, EverWebinar, GoToWebinar, Zoom, Demio, all these other ones, none of them give you these 9 options. They usually cater to just one thing or another. And they cost a lot more. There's a lot more cost associated with all of those products. And EasyWebinar does not have that. So EasyWebinar kind of wraps everything in one, gives you the options to select any of these 9 styles extremely quickly. Literally from live to automated, it's one click. We've done it many times, and we have some videos on that as well. So that's what it is. So go grab EasyWebinar at grabeasywebinar.com. You're going to get signed up immediately, get a ton of bonuses that we give you. All those bonuses help you get your webinar started right away without any questions. You'll also have exclusive interviews with us, with webinar experts, even with the actual creator of EasyWebinar. So you'll know kind of the ins and outs and ways to get started immediately without having to drag your feet. And you can just get to going and starting your webinar literally within 10 minutes. You can have something made. So go get it now. Grab EasyWebinar.com. You're always going to get the best price as well by using that link, and we'll see you in there. Thanks for watching.